Round number 2 of the Euroformula Open for the 2020 season brings us to the Paul Ricard circuit here in France. Great to be back for what is our 6th race here at the Paul Ricard circuit. My name's Chris McCarthy. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Alongside me, as ever, will be Elliot Wood. Cars are just about to head out on circuit for the first qualifying session of the weekend. This to set the grid for the first race later on. 25-minute qualifying session it will be. Race 1 will be coming up at 40 minutes past 3 here later. Set to be a lovely day, lovely weekend in fact, here at Paul Ricard. 36 degrees it's set to be later on today, so it's going to be very challenging on the drivers. Physically, it's going to be demanding, and it's also going to be very demanding on the tyres as well. And I think that's where we will start our first conversation, as I'll bring in Elliot Wood. Elliot, this is something I think that's we're going to have to talk about here, because temperature's very, very high. This track quite demanding on tyres as well. So this session is going to be a lot more tricky than it would be at some other places.
It definitely is, yeah. I've talked to a lot of drivers during free practice, and the general idea is the peak window for this tyre is less than a lap at this circuit due to the heat. So it's going to be very much about how you warm up these tyres and where you want to qualify on the grid today.
Well, we must start by saying we do have a couple of drivers that weren't with us at the first round. So one of those, Lucas Dunner, he of course finished 3rd last season in the championship. Also took 2 podiums here last year as well to kick the season off. This was the place we started the championship last year. And also Cameron Daz, another familiar face to the championship, going into his 4th season now, finished 5th in the 2018 season and 12th in the 2019 season. In terms of the championship, let's just bring you up to speed of where we are. The opening race absolutely dominated by the Crypto Tower Racing team and Chinese driver Yifei Yi. He took both race wins by 7.4 seconds. Finishing 2nd to him on both occasions was Andreas Essner. And the 3rd places were shared by Sebastian Essner and Zayn Maloney. That was how the podium positions lined up. Also, Edo Cohen took a 4th place, Zayn Maloney likewise. 5th places for Manuel Maldonado and Sebastian Essner. Just behind that, we had the likes of Ayrton Simmons. He took 2 7th places. Nicholas Cruton was in the top 10. Alexandra Bardignon, Glenn Van Berlo likewise, and Shihab Al-Habzi. So the top 10 in the championship is Ye, Essner, Maloney, Sebastian Essner, Cohen, Maldonado, Simmons, Cruton, Bardignon, and Glenn Van Berlo. But we are too early into the season to be too concerned about that. So we turn our attention back to the circuit as the drivers just bring in these tyres up to temperature. Just under 20 minutes to go now. And what do we have looked forward to for the rest of the season? Well, in just a couple of weeks, we'll be heading off to the Red Bull Ring in 3 weeks' time. In fact, then we will be heading to Monza at the end of September. Just after that will be Mugello, then Spa, Barcelona, and we end at Jarama. Well, there you can see the number 31. That is the driver from Barbados, Zayn Maloney. One of the rookies, quite a few of them in this as well. Pretty impressive start to the season for Zayn Maloney, although even though he did take an overall podium, he didn't seem overly pleased with it. He's someone who wants to aim for victories this season. Absolutely.
He certainly wasn't pleased with how his car was handling during race runs in the first weekend. After a few laps, he kind of described the steering wheel as getting heavy and essentially took more out of the tyres, and that was something they managed to fix in free practice yesterday and on Thursday. And then at the very end of free practice, Zayn was on fresh tyres and he went a second faster than everyone else. Pretty astonishing time, and I got to look at the tyres he actually used after that session and seeing basically where the wear was on those tyres, and it's pretty clear that he is one of the drivers to watch this weekend, as well as the drivers that did very well at the Hungaroring.
Yeah, well, we also looking back to free practice stewards, Crypto Tower Racing team who dominated that. Lucas Dunner has joined them. Rui Andrade is the 3rd driver. They were 1st and 2nd, with Andreas Essner 3rd, all separated by less than a 10th. Then it was Sebastian Essner, Zayn Maloney, Ayrton Simmons, who's getting gradually up to speed as he gets used to this car. Then Cameron Daz, Alexandre Bardignon on home soil. Oops, that's not the line you're supposed to take through there for the number 15 of Sebastian Essner. Rejoins the circuit. That's this lap now done. So Sebastian Essner, one of the rookies. Shihab Al-Habsi is another. Likewise, Zayn Maloney, Glenn Van Berlo and Nicholas Cruton. They're, of course, fighting for their own victories and podiums in that class. But Sebastian Essner is currently quickest. Andreas Essner second. Yiffy Yi is in third place.
Yeah, and the corner we want to look at today is turn 11, which is the long kind of, almost a hairpin, but it's a very long apex. So you wouldn't call it as such. And different teams have very different lines going to this corner. Some take a lot of curb, go in very tight, try and stick it to the apex for as long as possible. Whereas you find a lot of other drivers go wider and the lines are equally as quick. And we'll definitely see the difference between the two with Zayn Maloney, who are watching now, and the Crypto Tower Racing team drivers of Lucas Dunner and Yiffy Yi.
It's when you look at this circuit on the face of it, you look at sort of a track map for it, it's just a very long track, isn't it? But lots of straights around here, few heavy braking zones, so we could see some overtaking there. But as you said, there's some strange section of corners. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is another one as well. So I'd say this track could be either one I think drivers really love and get on with, or the complete opposite as Zayn Maloney goes quickest. Glenn Van Berlo is up to second at the moment, Edo Cohen in third. But the fact Maloney is 1.6 seconds quicker than the rest of the field means I'm assuming the others are still getting themselves up to speed. But that is a very good time in free practice 2. 155.2 was the quickest time. That's a 155.4 for Zayn Maloney. So he's at a stage now, you'd have to say, Elliot, where he's starting to set what could be around his fastest time of the session.
Yeah, he set the record pace for Euroformula at Paul Ricard yesterday, and that was in the 1:54s. No one else had ever gone into that territory, and the fact that he's already hit a 1:55.4 on only his second flying lap and is improving again, do a great job. Had a lap time deleted for track limits as Sebastian Essner, not surprising as we saw him kind of jump over the turn 8-9 chicane and give up on that attempt. It'll be very important going through that chicane as we see Maloney coming through now, and the set of corners at the finisher lap from turn 11 to turn 15. If you attack those corners too much on the warm-up lap before your lap you're going to go for pole on, the tyres might not make it to those same corners on the next lap with the amount of grip you need to get through those corners quickly enough. So it's going to be very interesting to watch. Maloney's taking more curb than he was yesterday, almost hops over them there. He is on a flying lap as Lucas Dunner for Crypto Tower Racing Team now goes fast. 1:54.695. The track has definitely got grippier than it was yesterday because we're already in the 1:54s. So I imagine I'm going to see another track record today.
Yeah, I think these are the perfect temperatures at this stage of the day to go and set record pace. So we're 1:54.6 for Dunner, 1:54.7 for Yi. So those two split by just half a tenth. Then it is Manuel Maldonado in third place. Zayn Maloney currently fourth. Sebastian and Andreas Essner fifth and sixth. Then it's Cruton, Bardignon, Glenn Van Berlo and Edo Cohen. Is anyone on a fly? Well, Lucas Dunner has just gone quickest through the first sector. Yi goes quickest through the second sector. So both of those having a slight boxing match on this lap to take provisional pole position. And it is the number 20 Yiffy Yi we are currently looking at.
Yeah, and the Crypto Tower Racing Team drivers have actually been helping one another down the back straight, giving one another a draft to try and get the most out of that long second sector of the lap. So it's not surprising that we're seeing the fastest middle sector on them, although Manuel Maldonado has beaten that now as well. 35.582, that's the fastest middle sector of the weekend so far.
Yeah, Manuel Maldonado switching over from British F3. He's starting to get a little bit more quicker now. He's working with Duarte Felix da Costa throughout this season. As across the line here, we're about to see what Yiffy Yi can do. Is he going to go to provisional pole position? Let's see as he crosses the line. He has not gone quicker, so he stays in second place. Maldonado, we wait to see him cross the line. He's the next one we need to be keeping an eye on because he is about to come up to the line very shortly, and we'll have a look and see if he can go any quicker.
It does actually look like we've got a problem with our timing screens because we haven't had the sector 3 times come through for the Crypto Tower drivers, but they've definitely gone past us and started another lap.
Yeah, so we'll I guess, turn a blind eye to those at the moment. Ah, there we go. Update now. Yiffy Yi goes quickest. So there you can see he's just gone quickest by just over a tenth ahead of Lucas Dunner. Maldonado sits in third place. Had a bit of a poor last sector, did Maldonado, and that kind of ruined any chances he had to challenge the guys ahead of him. But Yi and Dunner, almost 4 tenths clear, aren't they, from the rest of the field? Then Cameron Daz is fourth, Bardignon in fifth.
Well, Zayn Maloney was actually up with them, but as we saw, he's clattering over the curbs. I believe it was the exit of turn 7 that actually got his lap time deleted, and that was in a 1 minute 54.6. So that would have put him in third place. He's now down in 7th. He's actually returned to the pits already, so he's probably making setup changes to get ready to return to track for a second run.
Yeah, we're probably going to see a lot of drivers come in now, because Van Berlo's in. Shihab Al Habsi has just come in as well. Ayrton Simmons has not really put. I don't know if he's having lap times deleted as well, but he hasn't really got a respectable time on there just yet, so I'm not sure if that was the case. Ah, there we go, across the line, 4th place. So, well, Ayrton Simmons just goes across the line as we were saying that, and he goes up to 4th place. I think he'll be very happy with that. Ayrton Simmons, who in the championship is currently sitting 7th, and that's basically been the story of his season, finishing in 7th.
And Rui Andrade's gone up to 5th as well, 1 minute 55.3. Top 5 covered by a second, and the speed trap figures are going up as well. Maldonado 238.4, a huge number, but I guess there are 2 very long straights down this circuit.
Considering Rui Andrade was the only driver to not finish inside the top 10 after the problems he had, particularly in race 2, where he found himself facing the wrong way. 5th place, very, very good for him. So he's been finding some pace between rounds 1 and 2. As we watch Yiffy Yi, we'll wait to see his first sector time come in and see if he's on a complete flyer, if he's just heading back to pit lane. He's one of only 4 drivers that's still out there. Edo Cohen, another one, and then Simmons and Andrade. So let's do a complete run through. Yi, Dunner, Maldonado, Simmons, Andrade, Daz, Bardignon, Andreas Essner, Maloney, Sebastian Essler, Cohen, Cruton, Van Berlo, and Al Habsi. Not working out for the Essner brothers so far.
No, Van Amersfoort Racing hasn't looked like it's had the setup to match the Crypto Tower and Carling cars this weekend. Yeah, he gets a bit too happy over the curbs there through the turn 89 chicane, where you can make or lose a lot of time, as some drivers are already returning to track. I think Ye's plan here is he's staying out a little longer, comes into the pits, so when he does return to track, he's got clean air again, and he'll probably be the very last to cross the line if he times it right.
I think that is the case. Oh, there we go. Well, that's turn 11 for you, and that's how easy it is to get it wrong. So he'll bail out of this one, and if he wasn't going to come into this on the pits on this lap, he may just change his mind now, as this is turn 12 through turn 13 now, and then this is the run up to turn 14, where you've got to sort of sacrifice all your pace to stay left for a good run through the last corner to take you on what is one of the longest straights on the lap, if not the longest, as into the pits comes Yiffy Yi, now championship leader, yet to be beaten so far this season. I say this season, he wasn't beaten at round 1, basically. Will that change this time? I mean, the pace he had at round 1 absolutely dominated. 7.4 seconds winning both races. It's hard to see him get beaten this weekend. However, I'd say if anyone's got a good chance of doing it, it's going to be his teammate, Lucas Dunner, after the 3rd place he had in the championship last year.
It sounded like he locked his rears there going through turn 11, but we didn't see any smoke coming out the brakes. And he did look like he still made the first part of the corner. It'll be very interesting to see what they're going to do on that car while it's in the pits. If they're going to work on the rear end or anything. So we're up car straight into the car.
First sector, Lucas is 10s up, yeah? And the rest is just getting it together.
Well, I don't know if you got anything there.
Yeah, so he was talking with the first sector time. This is what Carling guys are doing yesterday as well. They were showing the onboards of other teams to their drivers and going, can you learn from this? Can you see what we're doing differently to them?
Yeah.
He's talking through the first sector there where...
Which is this?
Yeah, where Crypto Tower has been down on its rivals, specifically Ayrton Simmons and Zayn Maloney. They've been especially rapid in that sector. So that's probably where Ye needs to prove most. We're on board with Al Habsi, the Omani youngster. Looks like he's on warm-up lap. Yeah. So Sun is behind him, I think.
Well, this is the run down to the chicane. This is probably where the most of overtaking what is one of the only chances, I think, to overtake around here, really. If you can get a good run, it's going to be into here. Although it's a chicane, it's actually quite a fast entry, isn't it? It's not a stop-start chicane. It's fairly quick. You can take a lot of speed because of the curves and how big they are. You can actually take a lot of speed through there.
Yeah, and it's, well, because of the curbs as well, it's a lot to do with tyre wear. And if you attack it too hard, you do kind of tend to see a certain pattern on the tyres when you take them off, depending on what type of driving style you have. And you see how Habsy avoids the curves there.
Yeah.
He wants to avoid them as much as possible on this warm-up lap. But because of the kind of long apexes of a lot of these corners, it does take a lot out of the tyres.
This is one of the trickiest corners, turn 12, because the turning point just never seems to arrive, and then suddenly it comes round. So it's easy to knock too much speed off through there. Turn 13, pretty much flat out as they come through here. Now this is the corner where they've got to stay left. Turn 14, there you can see stay right over to the left, and then that opens up turn 15. So that is another place where if you're close enough, because of the speed you've got to knock off through 14, you might just be able to see a move down there. I think particularly in GT Open, we could see a lot of overtaking through that corner, but the pace that they go at for a couple of laps, and it's the conversation we had with Duarte Felix da Costa yesterday, you've got to, as you were saying yesterday, you've got to make sure that by the time you hit turn 15, that's when your tyres are going to be coming onto their peak, and to time that well is very tricky and takes a lot of practice.
Yeah, so because the last corner of this circuit is pretty much a hairpin, it does mean you can take the entry of that corner quite slow on your warm-up lap, and as long as you get the exit right, you're then going onto the long pit straight, and you've got the speed to carry into your flying lap. Whereas on other circuits, let's say your final few corners lead into one another, that makes that a lot harder. So you can actually build up speed through, well, build up tyre temperature through those final corners, but then back off throttle a little bit and then come back on it just as the final corner, get going on that next lap, and hopefully the tyre life would be there for the whole lap. But as da Costa told us, who is of course the older brother of new Formula E champion Antonio Felix da Costa, it's not as easy as it sounds to get the tyre kept in the optimum window for a whole lap in qualifying, and in the race it's going to be even harder.
Right, well, who are the drivers that really have some work to do here? Judging by the championship, 8th, 9th and 10th, Andreas Essner, Zayn Maloney and Sebastian Essner. Those three drivers are the ones that we would have expected to see a lot higher up the field, because they are 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the championship. Of course, new arrival Lucas Dunner up there. Maldonado 6th in the standings. He is up in 3rd place. Ayrton Simmons 7th, up in 4th. So those guys will be happy. I wonder if we're going to see a reverse in the standings here, or if this is just a case of this track suiting certain teams rather than others. We're looking at the number 16 now coming on to the start-finish straight. This is one of those drivers with a bit of work to do. 2nd in both races at round 1. It is Andreas Essner, and he comes across the line now to start another fly. One of the drivers who's come over from FIA F3 along with the driver leading the way at the moment in Yiffy Yi, who is just coming out on his out lap as most drivers start their first flyers.
Really attacking the first few corners there. Very tricky first corners as well, especially in a race, because as you can see, the sun is reflecting off the asphalt a lot, so there's a lot of shine, and sometimes you can't see the curb and the corner entry, because, you know, Paul Ricard looks pretty samey when you're out there.
You can get lost around here, can't you? Because it all looks exactly the same. As onto the back straight we go. There you can see Andreas Essner now coming through that flat-out left-hander, and now down towards turn number 8 he will go. And this is where we're talking about trying to get a toe. You want to try and get a toe, but at the same time, if you get stuck behind a driver going into turns 10 and 11, it's going to really affect you. And that's why you said teammates would give the toe and then get out of the way, essentially, to give a clear run. But so far, so good. I haven't seen any mistakes from Andreas Essner. Looks a pretty decent lap at the moment. Don't think he's going to catch any traffic. I think everyone ahead is on flyers as well, so he should be okay as he comes up towards the flat-out turn at number 10 now, through turn 10 we go, and in towards turn number 11. Just under 4 minutes remaining now. We follow Andreas Essner. Let's look at sector times. I don't know if we have those appearing. So, yes, we do. Well, Andreas Essner, no personal best, so nothing to get too excited about from what we can see on our timing screens just yet.
And we have had a few drivers had more lap times to the track limits. Ayrton Simmons had, I think, 2 sub 1 minute 55 laps and had one of them removed, but he's still in 4th place.
Oh,
so,
big lock up there. Big lock up for Andreas Essner. That's going to halt his speed coming out of the final corner, and that's going to do a lot of damage to the tyres as well.
Yeah, and we've got one of the Drivex cars slipstreaming. I think it's Nicholas Cruton ahead of the Van Amersfoort car, which we're watching now. These kind of high-speed turns through turns 3, 4, 5, and 6.
And this is that Drivex car.
You're going to want to tweak the anti-roll bar here because the car will want to lean as you're kind of going a high-speed direction change. So it's very much about rear stability in these corners, and tweaking things like suspension and the anti-roll bar helps with that.
Well, Shihab Al-Habsi is backed off on this lap because just too close behind the Van Amersfoort car ahead, and Al-Habsi is now going to give himself a little bit of space to work with, going on to what would be probably his final lap of the session. And yes, it would. It takes 1 minute and 54 seconds if you're very quick to get round here. And we have just over 2.5 minutes to go. This is the number 13, Manuel Maldonado, one of the biggest improvers, in fact the biggest between rounds 1 and 2, up to 3rd place in the running here. This is a good session so far from Manuel Maldonado, but we're going on to that last lap. So there is, well, that's going to be the lap everyone is going to be pushing as hard as they can, as Manuel Maldonado now comes through turn number 10 and in towards turn number 11. He's getting himself ready for that final lap. Positions to the left of your screen, and we have had some changes whilst we were just losing our timing screen there. So Dunner is up to 3rd, and Andreas Essner is up to 4th place. Simmons up to 5th. So Maloney has gone to the top as well. The rookie driver going quickest. Then Ye Dunner, Essner, Simmons, Maldonado, Sebastian Essner, Rui Andrade, Cameron Daz, and Alexandre Bardagnon.
Yeah, and I think our live timing probably won't be showing sector times the final minute and a half, because the actual timing board is based in Barcelona, we're in France. So there might be a little bit of delay. I might be wrong, but that's what I'm suspecting right now. We do see that Lucas Dunner is in 2nd place still. I believe he was already. A 10th off Zayn Maloney in 3rd. That's not showing up on our live timing, so we're going to have to play it by what the viewers at home can see here.
It's going to be old school. We're just going to go with what we see. And Ye leading by 1.5 tenths over Dunner. Maloney 3rd. Gleb van Berlo has just jumped up to 10th place. A very close battle going on there for 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th, as Edo Cohen now jumps up to 5th place. Edo Cohen 6th and 4th. He was at the 1st round, the Israeli driver. He goes 5th quickest with 1 more lap still to play with, as well as onto the back straight, where we've been following Maldonado for a little bit here, and let's see if he's able to improve. He's in 4th place at the moment. All he needs to do is find around 4 tenths of a second, and that'll put him up to 3rd place. I say only, that's quite a lot of time in this class, as through the chicane he comes 8, 9, and now making his way up to 10. Ye Dunner, Maloney, Maldonado, Cohen, Essner, Simmons, Essner, Cruton, Andrade. Will Dunner be able to go straight into the championship here? First qualifying session of this season and go to pole. We'll find out as Rui Andrade goes 8th.
Dunner was on pole at this circuit last year for the first race of the open engine regulations Euroformula. All these Crypto Tower motorpark cars have Spies engines, and we have quite a few HWA powered teams. I think these drivers are at the right gap behind each other, that they can get the toe without having their tyres ruined in the corners. As the checker flag comes out, drivers taking a lot of curb at that corner, which I'm not expecting to see. But Maldonado, we are seeing him going through the final corners. Lucas Dunner is ahead of him, and Ye is ahead of that, as we see Dunner go through the final corner. Ye is about to cross the line ahead of him.
Well, here comes Dunner up to the line, purple and personal best. Is he going to go quickest? We'll have a look as he comes across the line. Yes, he does, by 0.02 of a second. Lucas Dunner takes provisional pole position. Ye will be in 2nd place. We'll wait for some of the other drivers to come across the line. Al-Habsi jumps up from 14th to 11th. Cruton will be 7th at best. Maldonado 4th at best. Maloney hasn't crossed the line just yet, as Andreas Essner now jumps up. He left it late, but he goes up to 3rd place, right at the death here, as we're waiting for still half the field yet to set times, as Cohen now goes up to 3rd place. Edo Cohen, the Carlin driver, jumping up to 3rd place. What a brilliant qualifying session from Edo Cohen. We haven't seen his teammate, though, Zayn Maloney, cross the line. Simmons likewise, as well as Rui Andrade and Sebastian Essner, but it might be a case of they'd bailed out of their last laps and come straight into the pits, as Maloney now does take the flag, and he will be 5th at best. But pole position, he may have missed the first round, but he starts off the second round with a bang. Lucas Dunner takes provisional pole position. Fantastic lap now. I say provisional, it is pretty much confirmed now, isn't it? Cameron Daz jumps up to 10th place. Rui Andrade now the last driver we await, and he comes across the line. So that is the session completed. Dunner will be on pole position, just 2 thousandths ahead of his Crypto Tower racing teammate, Yiffy Yi. It's going to be a brilliant sparring battle between those two, isn't it, going into race 1, which will be at 40 minutes past 3 local time here in France. Edo Cohen, brilliant performance from him, 6th and 4th, and even more improvements this time as he takes 3rd place. He was quick off the line as well, actually, in the first round at the Hungaroring, particularly in race 2. So a fast starter is Edo Cohen. Could be one to watch going down towards turn number 1. Andreas Essner, 2nd in both races at round 1. I think he will take 4th place. I think he'll settle with that, considering we have had the likes of Lucas Dunner enter the championship. Maloney in 5th place. I don't think he will be too worried about that. I think he'll take that. He's the lead rookie as well. So here's confirmation of the results. Lucas Dunner from Yiffy Yi, Edo Cohen from Andreas Essner, Zayn Maloney and Manuel Maldonado will share row 3. Cruton and Simmons will share row 4, and that's where it was very close. At 154.6 for Cruton, 0.7 for Simmons, 0.8 for Andrade, 0.8 for Cameron Daz as well. So just like it was at round 1, the midfield very, very close together. And then we look outside of the top 10 next. There you can see Dunner's fastest lap, 153.6, record pace that we are seeing in the Euroformula Open. Sebastian Essner, he'll be very disappointed with that, considering he had a podium in the first race of the season. Glenn Van Berlo, 12th, just ahead of his teammate Shihab Al-Habsi. Those two split by less than a 1/10 of a second. And then on home soil, Alexandre Bardignon still trying to find his feet in single-seaters. He will start at the back of the field. But one thing we did see from Bardignon at round 1 was a lot of improvement over the weekend. So do not think that he will be staying there for the entire weekend, because once he starts to find his pace, I'm sure Bardignon could be one to watch. And he was a very quick mover throughout the first race as well, so does know how to get his elbows out and make some places. But that is going to be the driver who starts on pole position. It is the 69 of Lucas Dunner. Brilliant performance from him, and that sparring battle between him and his teammate at the end, fantastic to watch there, with Yiffy Yi starting alongside him on the front row. So that concludes the first qualifying session here at the Paul Ricard circuit. The first race will be at 40 minutes past 3. This qualifying session setting the grid for that race. And then tomorrow we do it all over again. And what a race it's set to be. Crypto Tower Racing Team will be 1 and 2 for that one. And although Dunner maybe 54 points down on his teammate already, he's definitely making a fast start to the season, isn't he? As he takes pole position. You can see just what that means to him. 3rd in the championship last year, so he comes into this season as the highest ranked driver from last year. So it's really no surprise to see him at the top. And there is Edo Cohen, who will start from 3rd place. I think he absolutely delighted with that one. Edo Cohen really starting to find his feet in single-seaters now. Has been at it for a couple of seasons, is Edo Cohen, the 18-year-old. He did race in the Toyota Racing Series out in New Zealand this week, finished 9th in that championship. Edo Cohen. There's Lucas Dunner, the Austrian driver. Remember at Red Bull Ring last year, just missed out on a podium on home soil. Alfredo getting ready to chat with him. So we're going to be hearing from Lucas Dunner very shortly. And let's go and hear from the pole sitter now. Well, before we hear from Lucas, let's just recap the top three. Edo Cohen, third place for him in qualifying, and just ahead, Crypto Tower Racing Team 1 and 2. Yiffy championship leader will start on the outside of the front row, but starting on the inside, pole position on his first race of this season, it's the Austrian Lucas Dunner.
Lucas Dunner, very nice pole position in the closing minutes of the session here at Paul Ricard. It seems to be your track because it's not the first pole here.
Yeah, good memories from last year. We had already last year pole here. Didn't expect it this time. Really hard conditions in the last days, especially yesterday. Didn't really expect to be now on pole. And yeah, really happy with the team, really happy with the car. Also on the driving side, improved quite a lot. And yeah, just happy to be in the car again.
And how you see the race later this afternoon?
I have never done a race in this car yet, I mean in the new car. So it will be interesting for me. There are long straights on this track, so you can get overtaken on straights because of slipstream, but we don't know. It will be an interesting race, and I think the most important is to have a good start and just look forward and drive as fast as possible.
Well done for now, and all the best for later.
Thank you very much.
Great to hear from Lucas Dunner. Well, that concludes the qualifying session for Euroformula Open on day one here at Paul Ricard. The first race will be at 40 minutes past 3 later. We've got a Crypto Racing Tower team on the front row, Lucas Dunner on the inside and Yi to the outside, and Edo Cohen in search of his first podium of the season starting just behind them. It's going to be very hot, as will be the racing as well, so make sure you join us 40 minutes past 3 local time here from Paul Ricard.